Hey guys and girls, it's Nathan Birch here from B.Invested, and just wanted to reach out and talk a little bit about what's happening in the current property market. So first and foremost, apologies about the quality of the video. I thought I'd get intimate with you guys, and the sun is going down so we can watch the sunset together. However, really important. The reason why I wanted to reach out with you guys is over the last 15 years I've been investing into property, very heavily bought property in every single market since I was able to sign a contract to 33 next month, and I signed my first property when I turned 18. So it's 15 years in the property market and seen a lot of interesting things happen, obviously, over the years, and lots of opportunities. I've been buying properties every single year since I was able to sign a contract and put my name legally on a piece of paper, and I continue to do so through 2018 and the years to come. Looking at the current state of the market, there's lots of things that people aren't really sort of aware of that are happening out there. I guess a lot of the information get out there is coming from the same people that produce you Married at First Sight, Sesame Street, and all those sort of places. So getting actual on-the-ground knowledge, is very, imperative to make sure that you get that. And, I might be the first in the country, especially from a property investor or a serious investor side of things, to be able to, call on what we're going to see happen in the marketplace. So I've been predicting markets for the last decade at least, being obviously in the public eye and delivering you guys videos like we are now. Looking at the current property market, a lot of people are interested in thinking, are we in for a bad time? Is the market going up, down, sideways? Every time I watch the news, I feel like I'm, getting bipolar because you never know what's about to happen. And looking at the current state of the market and what's happening out there, it all comes down to the financial system. So I've been able to call, a lot of random calls over the last, decade, and probably 95% of them come to fruition. So that's why I'm talking to you guys today about what I see happening over the course of 2018 and 2019. Going back in 2008, it was an interesting year. The US, packaged up all these properties and created the GFC. I was fortunate enough to understand how the monetary system worked at the time and what was happening back in the day, and realised that how the money is formed is very pro-property and gives us the opportunity to be able to use property as a vehicle, to create financial independence. And that's something that's worked a lot for the last 10 years since the GFC. However, currently in the marketplace, things are changing, and the ramifications of what came from the GFC starting to cause the GFC 2.0. And is it something to fear? Is it something to be excited about? I'm excited from the aspect of opportunities out there in the marketplace and things that I'm seeing happening. So looking at 2008 to 2018, the things that are surrounding the property market are very, very, very different to what was back in the day. And mainly because the fact that, the monetary policy over the course of the last decade, we've seen a lot of the money being printed from all governments, from banks, from everything. Everything is sort of in a bubble. I've talked probably about 12 months ago about the possibility of a hyperinflation, and people laughed at me and said that I'm on another planet, I want what he's having, etc., etc. But all roads are leading me to the fact that we are going to inevitably end into a hyperinflation, and it isn't good for a lot of people. But if you're prepared and you're skilled and you're up to date with where you're at, and on top of the monetary policy and your education, there's a lot of knowledge to be able to adapt into a real-world basis to obviously navigate through these sort of markets. So looking at, the course of the last 15 years of my investing, it hasn't been due to the fact that, any luck has happened. Like people sit there and say, oh, Nathan's lucky or whatever. Back in the old days when I first started investing, people thought it was crazy buying properties out in, Mount Druitt, Western Sydney or whatever. However, it came down to having a strategy, and there's a big difference between having 1 or 2 properties or having 10 or 20 properties to be able to navigate through markets. And it wasn't by chance that I bought 200 properties and have had a cool time in the marketplace. However, there is some big changes happening out there. I do see the monetary system dying. Yes, that's correct. The monetary system is dying. In the past, if we look at the monetary system in 1971, basically the US dollar became the base currency of the world. However, over the course of the last 3, 4, 5 decades, we've seen things be manipulated in very many different methods as far as financial instruments are used out there in different markets, whether it be in the form of bonds, derivatives, the share market, whatever. And if we go and look at, I've pointed out beforehand that interest rates have consistently gone down since the last 8 years, since the turn of this decade, since 2010, we have not seen one interest rate rise. In the last decade, we have seen interest rates go up by 1.75% and down by 7.25%. And I always use yield curves and understanding how the interbank yield curves are actually going to affect where the monetary supply is going, because what we're seeing at the moment is a liquidity issue in the property market, and it's something that for those that aren't prepared or ready for what's happening out there could be in trouble. And it's important to make sure that you understand how the fundamentals work. So for me, I retired from the workforce 10 years ago in the GFC, or 9.5 years ago, whatever it is, in the GFC. And from that perspective, I've committed myself to help you guys out over the course of the next 12 months by delivering you candid information on how to survive and prosper. This market that we're going through is not going to be like the GFC. The GFC was based on the fact that $7.5 trillion in the US was turned into basically gambling, and people had packaged the loans up in a certain way. Since then, there's $1.2 quadrillion worth of debt in derivatives that are in certain banks, and we're starting to see the cracks in those banks, globally, which are about to implode. There's an issue trying to actually pull down, the stimulus that's been put out in the marketplace, and I see it's a perfect storm in order for another financial crisis. And this time, the only way out is going to end up in the hyperinflation. So what does a hyperinflation mean? There's lots and lots of things to talk about. From my side, obviously, a lot of questions that you guys might have. How can we capitalize upon this? How can we find the bargains? How to prepare yourself? How to get into the market? Are you an investor with properties already? Are you, trying to get into the market? Are you a first-time investor, et cetera, et cetera? What do I need to watch out for? And just remembering, I have no, incentive to come here and talk to you guys about a property market that could be on the edge of a cliff. However, from that perspective, I think there's a lot of opportunities out there. As I said, the property market in 2008, 2009 has, positioned me in position to be able to retire from the workforce and be able to live life on my terms. So we've gone through a phase of quantitative easing over the course of the last 10 years. We're now going into a phase of quantitative tightening. There's a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of real estate agents are scratching their head going, Nathan, what's going on? And generally I'm, 12 months ahead of the curve to be able to give them the information. And, this information that I've got is to deliver to everybody. Make up your own decisions. As always, I'm not your financial advisor. This is not financial advice. However, the financial markets are very, very sick. And, I think it's going to be a fantastic time for investors to actually be in a position to take advantage of the opportunities that are in the marketplace. Where the issues are is on the property front is the inability to obtain finance for most people. Things are getting much tougher. Do I see interest rates going up? As I've reported, I actually reported to my inner circle at our 2017 Christmas party that we'll be seeing interest rates go up by 225 basis points via the course of 2018 in the later part of that. And I actually did a Facebook Live before anyone actually came out and said that. It's because I understand how the finances work in the background of the marketplace. And it was only the other day that RBA has come out and said that there's a strong chance that will be going up over the course of the next month or the next 2 months worth of meetings. So from my side of things, there's a lot for me to be able to deliver you guys. So I've put a link in the description of this video. So make sure next Wednesday, there's a webinar that I've got where I'll be going into details. I'll be going into regular sort of market updates as to what is going on in the marketplace, what we need to do to protect ourselves, and what opportunities that will lay out there in the marketplace to be able to not just survive, but to prosper through this. This is a time where I don't like going into marketplaces where people are, trying to get the highest price. Like the last few years in the property market have been crazy. With 60 months worth of intense capital growth, and currently we're going through a marketplace where we can't have that continued growth. But opportunities will lay out there in order to be able to get bank repos, be able to get deals where people can't complete them, so on and so forth. So obviously in the start of 2017, I found the opportunity where developers were in a position to sell land cheap, and we got a lot of first home buyers into the marketplace for below market value with lots of growth potential. There's going to be markets throughout the course of 2018, 2019, and probably 2020 where anyone can go out there to be able to get these sort of properties at a discounted price. So the things that I'll be covering in the webinars that are coming up, make sure you register for the webinars. Things that I'll be covering is basically the last 15 years of my knowledge, whether it be how you can go negotiate your own property cheap and below market value, how you can actually go and identify specific markets, how to build a strategy, how to protect yourself, how to increase your cash flow, and so on and so forth. So there's going to be lots and lots of things that are going to be able to cover off in these webinars. I encourage you to join up to the link, push the link, and enter your details and register for the first webinar, which is coming out next Wednesday, the 2nd of May. So we'll catch up soon. Have an awesome weekend. Keep investing and keep killing it out there in the marketplace. Have a great day. Bye for now.